Okay. Okay, so today I want us to focus on Instagram stories. Okay, we usually make a piece of content that goes on our feed or that is a reel, but today I want us to think about how we can use Instagram stories, because this is maybe a kind of underrated space. Sometimes we can forget about it. It feels like you put something out there and then 24 hours it disappears, so what's the point? But I want to get you into the habit, an easier habit, of showing up there more often, and ideally every day if possible, every working day, so that the people that are there in your audience are still seeing you and you are still visible to those people who are there. And that is important because that's where a lot of your most interested people are, your most curious people, the people that want to see more of you will check in on your Instagram stories, okay? Now, I have a very simple schedule, essentially, a little prompt for each day of the week, that when I am not sure what I could talk about or what I could share, I just go back to the prompt and think, right, what is today's prompt? I will link it to that. So Tuesday's one is talk us through one of your tasks. So whatever is going on in your business, think about one of those tiny little tasks that you have to do, that you probably do on a regular basis. It probably seems quite boring and mundane to you, but it's an everyday, day in the life, this is what I have to do as part of my job thing. And I want you to tell your audience about that thing. So if you can't think of one immediately, we're going to spend some time just jotting down some options of what your tasks could be. And then I want you to think about how you're then going to explain that to your audience. And the whole idea of this is that it gives your audience an insight into the day-to-day workings of what you do in your business. Because we are all nosy, we like knowing what goes on behind the scenes. You don't have to share everything, but if we take one little task that you do as part of your role, as part of what you do in your delivery or how you work with your clients or what you produce, it just gives someone a little insight into what you do on a day-to-day basis, rather than, what the nice flashy stuff on the sales page says. What does that actually mean on a day-to-day basis that we're going to be doing together? Okay. So take a minute to maybe jot down a couple of options for what your task could be. So it doesn't have to be a task that you would do today, although I tend to pick one that I am doing that day because it pops into my head sooner. But one little task that you do, that you usually do on a regular basis, that's part of your main role. And we're going to talk about that to our audience today on Instagram stories, okay? Is there anyone who's a little bit stuck with what they might be able to use as their task?
Lorna, I've got a mixture of things that are like general stuff that I would do from like week to week versus actually some real life stuff, not real life stuff, but stuff like that's very specific to this week, to what I've got going on, what would you say is it more the general stuff, or is it more actually specific? This is what I've got to do today for a client, for example.
I'd say the specific stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you've got a client call in an hour, what are you doing to prepare for that call? That is a task in itself.
Yeah. Okay.
And you could literally use that as the hook. Like, I've got a call with a client in an hour, and I'm just getting these things ready to make sure that we do this, or make sure that I'm prepared, or make sure that this X, Y, and Z happens. That can literally be your hook. I've got a call in an hour. That'd be a good one to do. Now, depending on how confident you feel talking about that task, you might be happy to just open the camera and start speaking about it and say, this is what I've got going on today. I wanted to show you exactly what that is. If you feel like you would need something to help you with the guiding of that, maybe jot down a couple of sentences to give you some structure of what to say, and then you can film it in little parts if you want to. If it's a task that you're doing quite often, and you feel you're comfortable with it, you understand it, just talk how you would normally talk to another person. Like, don't feel like it's a presentation. Just open the camera and talk about the thing that you're doing. It really, don't overthink it. If you want to write some bullet points, then do. But honestly, this is maybe about 60 seconds, just giving somebody a little snippet of what's going on today. So don't overthink it. Don't worry about saying the wrong word or the ums and the ahs. Just say it naturally, as if you would say it to a client or a friend or a real person, okay?